John and welcome to my channel, John's Box, and to part 7 of 11 of my series, The Beauty of Wiltshire. This is where we've been looking at the most beautiful villages, their history, their community, and in this edition it's time for the village of Lacock. It's in the north of the county, just below the town of Chippenham, there. And if you've never been to Lacock, you should go. Why? Because there is a big tourist attraction there, which is Lacock Abbey, and it's a beautiful, unspoiled village. Population is above 1,100, and on top of the tourist attraction, the main tourist attraction and its beauty, it has been also a popular film location. I'm sure you've all heard of Pride and Prejudice and Downton Abbey, but it's also been used for filming part of Harry Potter's Philosopher's Stone. But in the video there'll be a lot more information about that, as well as its history, and more importantly as well, or rather as important, its local community. So all of these beautiful villages, which are tourist attractions, do in fact have a local community, and it's the backbone of that community which makes that village. So there's going to be some information also about the local community as well. So without further ado, sit back and relax and enjoy. Lacock, with a population of approximately 1,100, is a quintessential Wiltshire village which has changed little in 200 years, with streets lined with timber-framed houses and independent shops. It is a civil parish about 3 miles south of Chippenham and 3.7 miles outside the Cotswold area. The village is almost owned entirely by the National Trust and attracts many visitors by virtue of its unspoiled appearance. Lacock has 3 public houses and a number of shops in its high street, including a grocery store, a bakery, gift shops and a National Trust shop. The parish includes Bowden Hill, a small village 1 mile to the east of it, and the hamlets of Bewley Common, Notton and Raybridge. The Chippenham-Melksham section of the A350 primary route crosses the parish from north to south, as does the River Avon. Lacock is mentioned in the Domesday Book with a population of between 160 and 190, with 2 mills and a vineyard. Lacock Abbey was founded on the manorial lands by Ella, Countess of Salisbury, and established in 1232, and the village, with the manor, formed its endowment to God and St. Mary. Lacock was granted a market and developed a thriving woolen industry during the Middle Ages. Raybridge and the Packforce Hoard remained the only crossing points of the River Avon until the 18th century. At the dissolution, the abbey and estate, including the village, were sold to William Shernton, later passing into the Talbot family by marriage. The Lacock estate was home to photography pioneer Henry Fox Talbot from 1800 to 1877. In 1916, Henry Fox Talbot's son Charles bequeathed the Lacock estate to his niece Matilda Gilchrist Clark, who took the name of Talbot. The estate, the abbey, and the village was given to the National Trust in 1944 by Matilda Talbot. Most of the surviving houses in the village are 18th century or earlier in construction. Lacock Abbey, the 14th century St. Cyriac's Church, and the 14th century tithe barn are Grade 1 listed. Elsewhere in the parish, the country houses at Bewley Court from the 14th century, though restored in 1920, and Bowden Park are two listed structures. The Sign of the Angel, late 15th century house, now an inn. A village cross, late medieval, re-erected outside the school in the late 19th century. A pair of bridges carrying the Bowden Hill Road over the Avon, late medieval, 17th and 19th century. And a 16th century conduit house, part of the Abbey's water supply, opposite Bowden Hill Church. Next to the Tithe Barn is a small lock-up from the late 18th century. In Lacock village by Henry Fox Talbot in 1824, with accommodation for 100 pupils. Another classroom was added in 1852, and around this time it became a national school. By 1858 there were about 120 pupils. The school was rebuilt on the same site in 1859, again at the expense of the Talbot family, for 220 pupils and 80 infants. Numbers declined in the 20th century, with 135 attending in 1955, when the school gained voluntary controlled status. Children of all ages were educated until the early 1960s, when older pupils were transferred to Chippenham. Since 1946, there has been an agricultural college at the Lacock estate in the north of the parish towards Chippenham. With its 400-acre farm, it is now part of Wiltshire College. Been used as a film and television location, notably for the 1995 BBC production of Pride and Prejudice and the 2007 BBC production of Cranford. It also made brief appearances in the Harry Potter films, namely Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone and Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince, and in the spin-off film Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of Grindelwald. In the spring of 2012, it was a filming location for the fantasy-adventure film Maria Mundi and The Midas Box. In 2015, Lacock was used for an episode of the Downton Abbey TV series, portraying a livestock market of the 1920s. Lord Grantham, his family and some of the staff appeared in this location. Not long after, the village was featured in 2 episodes of the Walhall series, based on the novels by Hilary Mantel. Scenes from the 2017 film Beauty and the Beast were shot here, and in the late 2018, scenes for the film version of Downton Abbey included a royal parade. The film was released in September 2019. The Abbey is located at the heart of the village with its own woodland grounds, and is a quirky country house of various architectural styles built upon the foundations of a former nunnery. Visitors can experience the atmosphere of the medieval rooms and cloister court, giving a sense of the Abbey's monastic past. The museum celebrates the achievements of former Lacock resident William Henry Fox Talbot, famous for his contributions to the invention of photography. In its 800 years of history, Lacock Abbey has been many things. It started as a nunnery in the 1200s before becoming a Tudor family home. Since then it has evolved with every owner, and in 1835 the first photographic negative was captured in the Abbey. The garden at Lacock combines meandering paths through woodland and parkland with a historic rose garden, orchard, and William Henry Fox Talbot's botanic garden. The Fox Talbot Museum explores the history of photography and Lacock's role within it, and hosts changing photography exhibitions. Lacock's High Street shop sells gifts, food, drink and accessories, with plant sales at visitor reception. The second-hand bookshop can be found in the Abbey's Tudor courtyard. Although it is possible that there was a small Saxon church here, it is definite that a Norman church was built towards the end of the 11th century by two landowners, Edward of Salisbury and William of Ohm. The dedication of St. Cyriac commemorates a favourite Norman saint. Obviously there is a lot more to be said about the church's history due to it being long, but, like with most early churches, parts were added and extended through the centuries. Most notably, in 1604, the recessed octagonal tower was either built or rebuilt. A little later, the south annex, or cottage, comprising 2 stories and an attic, was built. There was also a drastic restoration in 1861 by A.W. Blomfield. The main structural alteration was the raising of the transept roofs, but interior work included the breaking up of the high box pews, taking down the galleries and organ at the west end, and the breaking in half of ledger stones from the floor, some of which were replaced upside down. The parish is still active today, being under the Corsham and Lacock church area, hosting weekly services and a number of local events. As a fun fact, a Scarecrow Festival is held annually in Lacock and is popular with visitors from the local area, with all proceedings being donated to Lacock Primary School. The shop. There are a number of local active groups, clubs and associations, including a history group, Lacock Vintage, positive photography, no surprise here, and obviously a women's institute. Thus, the local community is alive and kicking. There is a local football team and cricket team. Lacock FC play their home games on the recreational ground. They currently play on Sunday mornings in the Chippenham and District Football League and are constantly on the lookout for could-be David Beckhams or slightly younger Harry Kanes. The cricket club fields 2 sides on Saturdays in the Wiltshire County League. On Sundays, the ground is used by Corsham under-15s in the Wiltshire Youth League. There is an active tenants association of the National Trust, providing an opportunity for local people to discuss issues of concern and other matters within the community of Lacock. The Lacock Village Hall and the adjoining Manor Room are located on East Street. Both facilities are available for hire for celebrations, children's parties, events, and commercial bookings. The hall can comfortably seat around 100 people, is equipped with catering facilities, a projector, and stage. This is also the seat of the parish council. Lacock was proud to welcome Her Majesty the Queen Consort to the village on the 25th of January this year, i.e. 2023, and she visited St. Cyriac's Church to plant a commemorative tree, as well as the National Trust shop and several local businesses. The local primary school, known as Lacock Church of England Primary School, is still housed in its original 19th century purpose-built building and caters for children aged 4 to 11. There are currently 3 classes, about a dozen members of staff, and about 50 pupils. Despite the relatively low pupil number, the school is very much alive and kicking, judging by its website and an active parents association, a number of clubs, as well as other activities. Recently, the school was honoured to receive Her Majesty the Queen Consort. The local primary school known as... So I hope you've enjoyed all of that. By the way, if you're from Lacock, or you live near Lacock, or you've been there many times, don't forget to comment, because in fact your comments are part of the content, and so it'd be interesting to know other things which I haven't mentioned. In the next edition of the Beauty of Wiltshire series, we're going to go a little bit north of Lacock to the village of Shurston, It's right. Its population is above 1,500. It's just near to Malmesbury. I think I'm pointing at the right one, or is it here? I can't quite see. Yep, but that'll be, let's hope, either in March or in April. So that'll be Shurston Village. Thank you very much for staying with me until the end. I hope you've enjoyed it, and see you in the next edition of the Beauty of Wiltshire. And by the way, that's for you, for having some fun.